Hi, Ed Merrison from CellarHand here, just visiting Tim Shand here at Punt Road Winery. We had a look at some 2021 wines today. This is the 2021 Chardonnay from Punt Road. Looks fantastic, Tim. You said from the outset that you loved 2021. What was it about the year that was so exciting?
Well, it's certainly exciting. It was challenging, but as we always find in regions like the Yarra Valley, cold, wet regions, the challenging, exciting vintages are the best, and particularly with Chardonnay, it's the case. When we see a little bit of disease pressure, which indicates probably we've had pretty good rainfall through the spring and summer, when we see cold nights, when we see really mild days, what we tend to find is we get a linearity in our Chardonnay. So there's a lovely natural acidity that kind of binds the whole wine together. The fruit's very savoury, the fruit's very tight, linearity carries it through. So a very, what we call classical year for Chardonnay, not a big flavoursome year for Chardonnay.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying that the coolness of the season saw a really nice accumulation of flavour as well. I mean, it's not remotely lacking in stuffing, but at the same time, I totally agree. It's got that sort of linear, sort of very straight palate. And with quite a sort of, what I almost call a soothing acidity to it. It's got the acidity carries it really long, but it's a really nice, soft and smooth sort of.
Yeah, I think people talk about pHs and titratable acidities and numbers. It's actually one of the most misleading. As a Riesling expert, you know better than anyone. You know, numbers are very misleading. You know, a Clare Valley Riesling at X acidity and a German or Austrian Riesling at potentially the same numbers will display, let alone Franklin River and Tasmania, will display a very, that sort of, the nature of the acidity you're talking about will potentially be very different. And we find the same thing. Our numbers actually don't change incredibly year on year for the acidity, but the way we perceive them and the way they express themselves can be totally different.
And it sort of sits in I suppose there's a little bit of citrus there, but in a kind of white stone fruit, not super fleshy, but not firm either, right in the middle there.
And to be honest, this is a vineyard and a part of the Yarra Valley that tends to be fleshier and tends to be, sort of more expressive and less savoury and less linear as a rule. So that's quite exciting for us.
And in terms of winemaking, obviously there's not really much on show here, for sure, but at the same time you've obviously tempered all those things and shown the fruit in a pretty pure way and with a nice sort of linear, as you said, length to it. What are you sort of aiming for there, the overall style of this wine?
Yeah, purity is the first one. So that purity, the translucence of the fruit. You have so many opportunities with Chardonnay to cloud that or to put your fingerprint on it, whether it be in the vineyard getting it maybe a bit too ripe or frankly a bit underripe, but also in the press, are you extracting the true flavours? Are you really giving the Chardonnay fruit, which can be quite neutral, the chance to come through? If you don't crush it, if you don't press it, if you don't oxidise it, you can really compromise those flavours you're looking for. And then obviously oak and malolactic, both of which are involved in this wine.
In relatively, I mean, in terms of new oak, in terms of total malolactic,
yes,
they're just in degrees that
in
are going to, again,
that's right. Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, I mean, you can see behind me, maybe over there, puncheons for our whites. The Malo would end up being about 25% of the blend, which is relatively high for us. That's quite a high proportion, reflecting that cooler year. Yeah, I think that's the key, like you said, restraint and sort of bringing everything back into the fold.
Well, fantastic. It looks really good. That's the 2021 Punt Road Chardonnay from Tim Shand and the team here at Punt Road in the Yarra Valley.
Cheers.